Alright guys, welcome back. So let's continue working on our project, and the next thing that we are going to do is to create a signal so that every time a user is created, a profile to this user will be created as well. So in order to do that, we need to go back to our code editor. Let's access profiles, and over here let's create a new file called signals.py. So we need to do some imports, and I'll begin by importing our profile model. So from .models, we want to import profile. Let's also grab the user model because the user model will be the sender. So from Django contrib auth models, we want to import user. Then we need to get some stuff related to the signals. So let's import the post save signal from Django DB models signals. We want to import post save, and also we will need the receiver decorator. So from Django dispatch, we want to import receiver. All right, so now we can create our signal. Receiver type of signal is post save, and then we need to indicate the sender, which is the user. And then we will have a post save, for example, create profile function that takes in a sender, an instance. Then we will have created args and keyword args. And we can do a check if created, and then we can simply write down profile objects create where the user is equal to the instance. So if you're not familiar with how this works, I recommend you check out my Django signals tutorial available for free here on the channel, where we go through some of the basics Django signals. And let's save the signals.py file, and let's move to the apps.py. Over here, we need to put in the ready method and bring in our signals. So this takes, of course, self, and then we need to simply import our signals. So we need to refer to the app name, profiles, and signals. All right. And the final thing is to jump into init.py, and here default app config is equal to profiles apps, and then let's jump back to apps. Let's grab this profiles config and put it inside init. Profiles apps, profiles config. All right, let's save this and let's see if this works. So what I'm going to do is to go to Django administration. I'm going to add a user. I'm going to name it test user. I'm going to set a password. And I'm going to simply save this. All right, so let's jump to profiles, and here is the test user. And the user has its code over here. And the recommended by field is empty since no one recommended us to the site because this functionality isn't working yet. So in order to change this, actually, let's jump back into our code editor. Let's access views.py of our main project folder, and maybe at the top let's create a new view called sign up view, and this will take in a request, and then let's return render request, and then we will have a template sign up HTML, and we will have a context dictionary. So I'm just going to put it over here. For now it will be empty, and this is the sign up. So what we need to do next is to go to templates, create this sign up HTML. All right, and here we want to inherit from base HTML. Let's put in a block title, sign up, and let's put in a block content. And for now, I'm just going to put in create an account. All right, so I'm going to save this, and what we need to do next is to simply register this sign up view in the URLs. So I'm going to bring it in, sign up view. I'm going to copy this path, and I'm going to put it below. Sign up view, and here we will have sign up, and the name will be sign up view. All right, so as the next step, we can jump to our main HTML and add this link. href is empty, so let's put in URL, and then we want to go to the sign up view. All right, so this should be working right now. I'm going to save this, and let's just log out for a second. Let's hit refresh, create account, and we are taken to the sign up. All right, so this is working, and now we can jump back into Views PY, and we need to do a few imports. So first of all, I'm going to bring in the user creation form. So we need to go to from Django and contrib auth forms, and from here we want to bring in this user creation form, and we will also need login and authenticate. So from Django contrib auth, we want to import login and authenticate, and also we will need the user model. So from Django contrib auth models, we want to import user. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do in this sign up view is to get our session variable. So I'm going to name it as profile ID, and this is going to be request session get, and we want to get the ref profile because this is the naming that we used in the main view. So over here we have ref profile set, and here we are simply trying to get it, okay? And then we can also do a printout. So I'm going to put in profile ID and profile ID like this. All right, then we are going to instantiate the form. So form is equal to user creation form request post or none. As the next step, we are going to check if the form is valid. So if form is valid, all right. And if this is the case, we will have two additional case scenarios, one with the profile ID and the other one without. So let's write if profile ID is not none. So in this case, we got ourselves to this site by a recommendation. So we can create a variable called recommended by profile, and we can write down profile objects get, and we want to get the profile that recommended us to this site by the profile ID. All right, so we can set the ID is equal to the profile ID. All right, so as a reminder, in the main view, we simply got an opportunity to get the ref code. And if this is the case, we tried to get the profile, and we simply stored the profile ID in a session variable called ref profile. So here we are grabbing this ref profile. So we have the ID, and if the form is valid and the profile ID is not none, we are simply storing this profile that recommended us to the site in this variable. All right. And as the next step, I'm going to write down form save, but I'm going to assign it to a variable called instance. and I will explain why I did this in just a second. And then I will write another variable called registered user. And here I'm just going to write down user objects get, and we are getting the user by the instance ID. All right, so we have the user retrieved thanks to assigning it to the instance. And right now we can create another variable called registered profile, and this is going to be profile objects get. All right, so now we have the profile stored in the registered profile, and finally we can access the field that is called recommended by. So I'm just going to copy it and put it over here. So we can now assign to the registered profile recommended by field the recommended by profile. Right? And the last thing is to simply get the registered profile and simply save it. And that is it. So this is the longer case scenario. And if we are here on this particular site without any recommendation, we just simply need to write down form save like this. Okay, so as the next step, let's also make sure that we can log in after registration. So in order to do that, we need to have the username and the password. So let's grab the username first, form cleaned data get username, and password is equal to form cleaned data get and password 1. And then we will create a user variable and use authenticate, where we will simply pass as the username, and as password we will pass in password. All right, so finally we can log in. Here we just need to pass in the request and the user, and then we want to be redirected, so we need to return redirect. We didn't import redirect, so let's bring it in. Redirect, and we want to be redirected. We want to be redirected to the main page. So let's go to the URLs, and we want to be taken to the main view. So I'm just going to copy this, and I want to put it over here. All right, so basically we are almost done. The final thing is to pass the form to the template. So over here we just need to assign to the form key the form that we have over here, this user creation form. All right, so let's save this and let's jump into sign up HTML. Here, let's get rid of this create an account and let's put in form action. Let's set it to blank. The method is equal to post. Let's not forget about the CSRF token. And over here, let's put in our form itself, form as paragraph. And then we will have a button type is equal to submit with a class equal to btn primary. And let's put in sign up and let's close off the button. Let's also close off the form. Let's indent this a little bit. Let's save this and try it out. So I'm going to hit refresh, and here is our sign up form. This doesn't look nice, so as the next step we are going to bring in Django Crispy Forms. So let's go back to the terminal. Let's quit the server from running. Pip install Django Crispy Forms. All right, so now we need to go to the refproj settings py, and we need to bring in crispy forms starting from the installed apps list. So here I'm just going to put in crispy forms, and at the bottom I'm going to add the template pack set to bootstrap form. So let's do it over here. Crispy forms, and we need to put in crispy template pack is equal to bootstrap form, like this. So now I'm going to save this, go to the sign up HTML again, and we need to load crispy forms tags. So load crispy forms tags, and now we can use the crispy filter instead of S paragraph. Crispy, like this. So let's save this and let's refresh, and something is not working. So let's check out what. Oh, okay, I didn't start the server. Python manage py run server. All right, let's try it again. And there it is. So this is looking much better. So let's create a user. Test user 2. Let's set a password, confirm the password, and let's press sign up. And there it is. So we have test user 2. So let's actually log in as our super user. Let's go to the profiles, and there it is. So we have our test user 2, and it's without the recommendation. That's okay. So as the next step, I'm going to head to the profiles again, and I'm going to grab my ref code, and I'm going to simply copy it, and I'm just going to log out. And right now I'm going to use this ref code. So I'm going to paste it, and now I'm going to create an account, test user 3. Let's set up the password. Let's press sign up, and we have a problem. We cannot assign profile recommended by must be a user instance. So we need to go back and check one thing in the views py, and here we have recommended by, and we have assigned it to the recommended by profile. But then if we go to the models py file, in the recommended by, this is a foreign key to the user. So this is the problem right now. So we are assigning to the recommended by field, which expects a user, a profile instance. And we can change it very easily by adding user. And this should solve our problem. So I'm going to sign up again, and this time I'm going to put in test user 4. Let's press sign up, and there it is. We have test user 4. So let's go to home. I'm going to log in as the super user. I'm going to access test user 4, and here we have recommended by my profile. All right, so this is working. And let's try this with the test user 4. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to log out. I'm going to go to the main page with the ref link of the test user 4. I'm going to create an account, test user 5. I'm going to set up the password, press sign up. There it is. So let's log in again. Profiles, test user 5, and there it is. So this is working, and the final thing that we want to do is to list out the profile's recommendations. So if we take a look at my user, So my user recommended for sure test user 4, okay, and test user, let's change this as recommended by my user as well. So I'm going to save this. And now let's jump into the models py file of profiles, and let's work on this get recommended profiles method. Here I'm going to create a query set, and this is going to be profile objects all. So we are getting all the profiles, and we are going to loop through those profiles to check if the recommended by field matches our user. So let's do it in two ways. I'm going to do the first one as the shorter version. So this is going to be with the use of list comprehension. So I'm going to loop through each profile, P for P, so profile for profile in the query set, and then we will add this profile only if the profile, the P recommended by, so I'm just going to copy this, P recommended by matches self.user. Okay, so we are looping through all the profiles, and then if the recommended by matches our user, we are adding it to the myrex list. So this is the shorter version. Let's comment it out, and let's do the little bit longer one. So we need to do it with the use of for loop, but first we need to initialize an empty list, and now we can write a for loop for profile in QS, and now we will put an if statement. If profile recommended by is equal to self.user, in that case we are going to grab the my recommendation list, so myrex list, and we are going to append to it the profile. All right, so finally, as the last step, we simply need to return myrex. We can now save our models py file and jump into the views py file of the profiles application. And here we are going to create another function view, my recommendation view. My recommendations view, which takes in a request. And here, let's begin by returning render. Let's pass in the request. Profiles slash, let's put it as main HTML. We are going to create this template in just a second. And we will also have a context dictionary. Let's set it as empty for now. Let's jump to profiles. Let's create a templates directory. Inside, let's create another one called profiles. And inside, let's place main HTML. All right, so we want to inherit from base HTML. Let's put in a block title and a block content, starting from a block title. Just going to put in myrex and block content. Let's leave empty for now. So we will return to this shortly. Let's jump back to the views. And over here, we need to grab our profile. So it will be very easy because we can do it by grabbing the profile objects get, where the user is equal to the request.user. And then what we need to do is to simply maybe create another variable. myrex is equal to profile, and then refer to this get recommended profiles method. So let's copy it and let's put it over here. And finally, we can pass to the main HTML template this myrex variable. So I'm going to keep the key and the value as the same name. Now we can save this and go back to the main HTML. Here, let's start by checking if the recommendation actually exists for our profile. So I'm just going to put an if statement and if my recs. And if we did recommend any users, we are going to put in an h1 tag, my recommendations. And let's close up the h1 tag, h1, and let's list them out. So I'm going to open an unordered list, and inside I'm going to create a for loop. So let's put in for profile in my recs. I'm going to simply display it as a list element, and inside we are going to put in the p.user. All right, so this is the first case scenario where we have the recommendations, and otherwise let's just display h1, and here let's just put in you didn't recommend anyone yet, and let's close it off. All right, so let's save this, and we will find out if this is working as soon as we just registered this view. So I think we can do it directly in the referral URLs py. So below the sign up, I'm going to create a new path called profiles, and we need to bring in our my recommendations view. So from profiles views, we want to import my recommendations view. And let's set a name, my recs view. All right, so I'm going to save this, and yeah, let's try it out. So I'm going to head to profiles, and something didn't work, so let's find out what it is. And I forgot about a comma. I'm going to save this and try it out again. Profile is not defined, so we need to go to the views and bring in the profile model. So from .models, we want to import profile. Let's save this, let's refresh, and there it is. So here are the recommendations: test user 4. And if we go to the administration, test user 4 has been recommended by me, and the test user has also been recommended by me. If we go to test user 5, which has been recommended by test user 4, let's change it to me. Let's save this, let's hit refresh, and there it is. So this is working, and we can finish off over here. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was valuable to you, and yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.